Radio Berlin 88.8. Hey Music mit Jürgens.
It's more than 36 years. 30th of August 1980. The great day here in front of the Reichstag. Do you have any memories, impressions from that day?
We were just talking about it, my wife and I now. It was, we had a 3-week-old daughter, and she came to the concert. Well, we brought her with us. And that's how we were just working out, because it's 36th birthday this year. And we suddenly sussed that it was so very close to the time we'd done the concert. I suppose there's lots of memories, really. We'd done a tour of Germany where we'd played to, I think the official figure was 250,000 people had actually bought tickets to come and see us. And we hadn't, on that tour, we'd not done a gig in Berlin at all. And that was when Mama Concerts mooted the idea of doing this concert for the people in Berlin itself, a free concert. And I don't think any of us knew at the time, but Axel Springer, I think, was involved.
Did you know that so many people tried to come to the concert from the east side?
Yes, yeah. And I think that was initially the idea, was the location was because this horseshoe effect around the Reichstag wasn't there. So people were going to hear on the other side of the wall, which was quite an exciting prospect, really.
Sie eröffneten den 4. Rocksommer der FDJ im Treptower Park. 45.000 waren gekommen und schmolzen dahin bei Rockromantik und Heavy-Gitarren von Barclay, James, Harvest.
Years later, you came back to the east side of Berlin, and it was this tremendous Treptower Park concert you did. What kind of different impressions you had from this and from the other one?
Well, I think I'm right in. I'm not 69. You know, the grey cells go. I think it was the Berlin Senate that asked us back, and am I thinking wrong in that it was 1,000 years of the city of Berlin, its existence, and I think they muted to do a concert in East Berlin at the time we did the concert for the people back to back, but it wouldn't have been a free concert, so that wouldn't have been in the spirit of what we were doing it in the first place. But when we went to Treptower Park, we went under the impression. And one of the criteria was that it was going to be exactly the same. It was going to be a free concert in Treptower Park. It was going to be on something called the Island of Youth. Mm-hmm. And it was not very long after we got there, we realised that... so I think there was some discussion went on, and the actual concert was moved actually into the park itself from this Island of Youth, and then it became a free festival. And it was some experience. It really was some experience, because there was no security in the way that there was for the concert for the people, where it was you were backstage and the only contact you had was on the stage. it was very much very open thing, as I remember it in Treptower Park, where, you know, you're really close up to the audience and everything. And my lasting memory is there were a lot of the young people spoke really good English with an American accent. And it kind of, one of the other things that happened was, I always relate, was we were in a hard currency hotel, and myself and the drummer, Mel, were going up in the lift, and this guy got in the lift, and there were the three of us in the lift, and I'm thinking, I know this man, and it was Robert Maxwell. And it was quite strange, you know, we're in East Berlin, hard currency hotel, and there's this really famous figure from England, this publishing magnate, in the lift.
Yes, and now, many years after this, we are day by day, till today, we try to grow together. And it's really interesting what this wall about 25 years has departed, and that it's not easy. And till today, there is something that everybody's telling you what was his life and what was that life, this and that. So, but it's we all love that day when the wall came down.
Yeah. I mean, I must admit that I always felt a reticence coming to Berlin as a divided city. I found it very oppressive and very depressing, even though all the gates and all the lights in the West, that you know, I could never get over that, you know, the shadow of that wall, really. And I remember going through, with my wife when we were younger, going through Checkpoint Charlie and into Alexanderplatz, which was, you know, we didn't go on the tram, we walked through the streets, and this completely empty, huge square. And I've lasting memories of that. It was quite a dispiriting, you know, prospect going through there. But
and what are these feelings compared to the past now coming back?
I still feel, you know, it just a bit uncomfortable that, you know, that it ever happened, really. And of course, for the first, I tried to put it in words because I wrote a song for that Berlin concert for the people called "In Memory of the Martyrs," which was trying to express in a social way how I'd feel if I'd trapped somebody's entire life in my hand, you know, and it was trying to explain that feeling and explain sorrow for all the innocent people who have been martyrs, really, trying to get out before that steel curtain went up, you know.
I had this feeling years and years ago. It was the last concert of the Prudies, very famous East Berlin rock band, in the old Friedrichstadtpalast. And we were from the western part, we were invited. And I was looking what was happening there. The police, East German police, the Fopos, were throwing their hats in the air and were friendly. I only knew them very bad at when I wanted to go from West Berlin to Hamburg. I had to pass this corridor and everybody says, "Oh, what are you doing?" So like this. And it was something special, that a feeling we had together. And at the same moment I thought, I'm able to go back to West Berlin and the others, they are not allowed to. And it was the first moment where I felt the whole shit. Because living in West Berlin, there is something around you, what is called the wall, and you have to live with it, but you can go wherever you like. It's something different to have the same feeling and to know that they can't, and I am allowed to do everything. I
must admit, that was one of the depressing issues, really, because when we went to East Berlin, they gave us expenses, East Berlin money to spend. You couldn't spend it. I mean, they didn't want that in the hotel, certainly. And we had young people with us who were guides, I suppose, really, or chaperones. And you obviously built up quite a close relationship talking to them. And their lack of freedom really. The only way they could, it seemed at the time, the only way they would get any kind of freedom was through being higher up in the system where they would be maybe allowed to go. And I remember all of us gave our money, this East German money, to them when we were leaving, because it was no use to us at all, you know. And it being quite, you know, they're being quite humble about this. So when the wall came down, it was a great feeling to think that now those people would be able to, you know, just go everywhere as they should have been able to in the first place.
Because of this, but because of several albums before, there was really a big connection between Barclay James Harvest and Germany, I think. The German fans seemed to me something special for the band.
Well, yeah, we had this album called Gone to Earth, and I think that was one of the movers for us. We came over to do a tour, and I had had an anxiety breakdown, and was, you know, quite badly affected by it, and the tour was cancelled, and I went sort of to recuperate from that, and I think everybody thought that might be, you know, we'd blown it here, our one chance, and we'd blown it. But when we came back from after that, I remember one of the first gigs we did was at the Philipshalle in Dusseldorf, and it's one of those halls where you can, you know, it's elastic. You know, you book it for 1,000, but then you can open something and it goes 1,000. And I just remember them opening more and more, and this gig being full and people not being able to get in. And it just seemed to snowball from there, really. And the album took off, of course. And
because I'm a big Beatles fan, and always when something comes around, or came around with that was full of respect for the Beatles, and you did something on top.
Yeah.
You were using lines and made something new out of it.
Titles, yeah.
So it makes me smile. But when did you have the idea to make something like this?
When we first started, when we first got our record contract with EMI, their in-house recording studio was Abbey Road. So we had to use that studio. But we had to wait till everybody, the big stars, had finished. So we would work through the night. And if we were back-to-back with the Beatles, which we often were, it might be Cilla Black or the Beatles, or at one point it was a Plastic Ono band with John Lennon and Yoko Ono. We had to wait till they're finished, and then we could go in and start recording. So we had kind of like that whole culture there. And then there was a big argument. The Beatles played on the roof at Apple, and that was the last, you know, and it all ended in acrimony. And I'm thinking, well, you wrote all these wonderful songs, and you know, all you need is love and all this bit, and it's just all gone. So I looked at all the song titles and crafted that song to actually represent what had happened in the song itself. You know, all you need is love and all that bit. You know, and for me, it was marking the breakup, the acrimonious breakup of the group, because I was there at the time it happened. All you need is love to succeed. Lady Madonna, let it be. Something in the way you move.
It all started at school with the band. You know each other very early?
Woolley. I knew Woolley. We were at what they call an art school. We were trained to be artists, graphic designers. So I and Woolley were at school. We were in a band. The other two were at school, but a different school. Mm-hmm. And we met through two different bands, really.
Are you painting till today? Are you doing things?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do a little bit. My sister does. My sister's a professional artist. Mm-hmm. She's a proper painter. No, I just do bits of stuff. Yeah, mm-hmm. But it's tiny.
I think when you have this gift. You have to do things even when you professionally are doing other things.
I think my paintings, my songs.
Yeah, in a way.
He told great stories of the Lord. He said he was the savior of us all.
You had different names in the beginning. That's quite normal for bands looking
Yep.
for names. And Barclay James Harvest was put together by accident.
Yeah. They were quite strong individuals. Wooly was quite a strong individual, and nobody really could decide one way or the other what we were going to be called. And so, quite literally, it was pulling, pieces of paper out of a hat box. It could have been anything, and nothing suited. And there were 3 pieces of paper left in the bottom of the box, and it was Barclay, which was for Barclay's Bank, James, which was an ex-singer called Rodney James, and Harvest because we lived in the farmhouse at the time. So any James Barclay Harvest, Barclay James Harvest, Barclay James, it could have been anything, but that was what they set on. I think it was the biggest mistake we ever made.
But,
I don't know, if we'd have had a name like The Who or Them. You go into a shop and ask for. I want a record by that group. Give me The Who.
And till today, the name is much longer.
Yeah,
because they are 2 of
John
them.
Lee's, Barclay James Harvest. I know.
So, isn't it a pity that that people who came together to make something really special and they are successful, that they split up in this way?
I think that it was a long, long time, and people do grow apart. The music, certainly, the last few albums, we weren't recording together. We were in the studio, in the same studio, but perhaps, not really at the same time, and things like that. Musical differences, and then there was some bits of ugliness that went on that weren't perhaps gentlemanly. So. It was the idea, and think initially was to have a break, maybe a 12-month break from it and see what came of that. And at the end of that, we decided that Barclay James Harvest was a big issue, and that the names within it weren't as important, but it was important that if people were going to see an iteration of the band, then they should know what music what music from the band they were going to see. So initially we agreed that it would be through the eyes of, that would be the caption. In management we agreed that it would be John Lee, Barclay James Harvest through the eyes of John Lees.
That was the first step.
And Barclay James Harvest through the eyes of Les Holroyd. It would have been, if Mel had done something, it would have been through the eyes of Mel Pritchard. Wooly was out of it by then. So that was the basis we went on. And then for some reason, I don't know why, but the Barclay James Harvest featuring Les Holroyd, I don't know why he did that, but it wasn't really in the spirit of the agreement. So, but initially we did John Lees, Barclay James Harvest through the eyes of John Lees. I mean, it was all, how big the name had to be and how against the others, so that people, if they came to see my version of it, they knew they were going to get Mockingbird, they knew they were going to get Him, Child of the Universe, Poor Man's Moody Blues, all these,
And when the band was together, sometimes you have been the singer, the others Les was doing, and then the other was doing the second voice. So what are you doing now? Do you sing the others as well, or is it just...
Well, the band I have at the moment now, and which I've had for the last 20 odd years, is we're a partnership. So we've gone back to what Barclay James Harvest was. So we write together, we arrange together, we perform together, and we share in everything that from that, from that we create as John Lees Barclay James Harvest. So it's right back to the original roots. So all three of us, all the three, the keyboard, Jez, the keyboard player, Craig, and myself, we all sing. We sing our own songs. We sing Craig sings some of my songs. I mean, it would be impossible for me to sing for 2 odd hours. I do a lot, but certain songs he chooses to sing and then his own. So it's very much a partnership, very much 4 guys together.
Woody was part when it started with one part of Barclay James Harvest was your part because of your long friendship, but he was depressive.
He suffered from manic depression. He was, or I don't think he was originally, but he did become bipolar. Is this term? Yeah, and he had 2 attempts on his life in the past, thankfully unsuccessful. But I really that I might have just had enough, and I didn't want to really do much more. And he was kind of upset by this, so I said, "Well, fair enough. Okay, we'll carry on." And I thought, great, we'll carry on, steel myself to it. We start writing to do a new album and start really working again. Loads of gigs in, especially one particular gig at this studio in London, which was going to be a televised thing, a big issue, And he just went under. He just became really depressed by it all. And he didn't show it to us until it actually became a real issue for him, and he put himself into hospital, to get treatment, and things went wrong. He was attacked in the hospital by a patient that shouldn't have been in the part of the hospital that he was, and they couldn't contain this guy, so they sent Willie home. And for the weekend, and that people in that situation are quite devious, aren't they? And he managed to prepare and then to kill himself. It was a great tragedy.